It's time for Recipe of the Day. One of my favorite ways to decide what to make for dinner is to come up with a great side dish idea and then just make really simple food to go with it. And so if you are thinking about trying out a green bean casserole recipe to serve for Thanksgiving, you could make it tonight and just have it with like some chicken breast and a salad. The creaminess from the green bean sauce is going to help with the chicken breast and make it seem more special. Salad on the side's always fresh and light. You've got a really nice, fun, delicious dinner, and you're trying out a recipe for Thanksgiving, which is great. So this is a green bean casserole from scratch. I'm talking that like 1950s classic that is usually made from canned beans, canned cream mushroom soup, and those canned fried onions. You know what I'm talking about. We are doing that without the cans, although I will tell you that I sometimes do use the can of fried onions anyways. I just do the recipe with the homemade parts for the rest and then use the fried onions on top. Or I'll make the topping that I'm going to be telling you about, the homemade topping, and then mix in half the amount of those fried onions so you still get a little bit of it, but not quite so much, not quite so greasy. But they really are so good. It's such a treat to have them in there. Really, it's about getting rid of that condensed mushroom soup and really the canned green beans. Instead, we're going to roast some fresh green beans. We're going to make our own bechamel sauce with mushrooms, and then we're going to top it with a panko breadcrumb mixture. Or you can get those canned fried onions we were talking about. I'm not going to tell anybody. I do it too. Okay, you're going to start by preheating the oven to 425 degrees Fahrenheit. And then in a small bowl, you're going to mix together a cup of panko breadcrumbs, a half a cup of finely grated Parmesan cheese. You want the real Parmesan cheese here, not the shelf-stable stuff that you would put on a pizza at a pizzeria. And then you're adding a half teaspoon of salt to that and a quarter teaspoon of pepper and a tablespoon of olive oil. Give that a little mix. At first, it's not going to look like the olive oil is going to mix fully, but just mix it for a moment and then it will mix all in. Set that aside. And then you're going to mix together 1.5 pounds of green beans that you've trimmed and cut into 2-inch lengths, along with a tablespoon of olive oil, a quarter teaspoon of salt, and a quarter teaspoon of pepper. Put that into a 13x9 baking dish and roast them for 10 minutes at 425 in that preheated oven. Give them a shake and then roast again until they're nice and fork tender. It's going to be about 10 to 15 more minutes. Now, while those are cooking, warm another tablespoon of olive oil in a large skillet over medium-high heat and add 8 ounces of mushrooms that are thinly sliced and a medium onion chopped up, and cook that, stirring occasionally until well browned, 7 to 9 minutes. That was over medium-high heat. Did I say that? Then once they're brown, reduce the heat to medium, add a quarter teaspoon of salt and 3 tablespoons of flour. Stir that to coat the mushrooms in the flour, and then you're going to stir in 1 12-ounce can of evaporated milk. You can use either the 2% evaporated milk or the whole evaporated milk. Both of those are going to work in there. You can use whole milk instead if you wanted to. It's going to be 1.5 cups. I know I've told you this before. I don't tend to have whole milk in the fridge all the time, so I always keep some whole or 2% evaporated milk in the pantry. And then when I need that richer, thicker milk with the higher protein content, it's less likely to curdle. It makes sauces better. When I need that, then I have those cans. So that's why that recipe calls for that. So stir in your milk and then you heat it while stirring continuously until the liquid is bubbling and thick. Then give it a taste and add a little more salt and pepper if needed. I usually add about a quarter teaspoon of each. Then you're going to pour that creamy mushroom mixture over the beans in that baking dish, and then you sprinkle it with that panko breadcrumb mixture that you made, and you bake that until it's all bubbling and browned on top, about 18 to 22 minutes. Homemade green bean casserole. Maybe you want to sprinkle in some of those fried onions on top at the end too. I will put the link to this recipe in the show notes for this podcast episode, or you can head to cookthestory.com/ROTD and get it there. Everything there is arranged by date, so it's helpful to know that today is November 13th of 2024. The other place you can get the recipe is in our Facebook group. I post the link to the recipe of the day every single day in that group, so you can always get it there, ask questions, see what I'm talking about. That group is at facebook.com/groups/recipeotd. I look forward to seeing you there. I'm Christine Pittman from cookthestory.com, thecookful.com, the all-new chicken cookbook, and from this podcast, Recipe of the Day. I hope you have a great day. Let's get cooking.